Indeed, Africa will be one of the first official destinations of China's incoming leader. Now, China's new president will attend the 5th summit of BRICS countries leaders in South Africa later this month. That visit by the new president will give impetus to strengthening partnerships among the BRICS countries, improving the BRICS mechanisms and boosting the cooperation between BRICS nations and countries in Africa and other regions. This will also be an occasion to cement relations with Africa. And to discuss the state of Africa relations further, I'm now joined by Vincent Kimosop, the Chief Executive Officer, International Institute for Legal Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us here on CCTV. Now, how can you describe the relations between China and Africa?
One is that it's a relationship that's built on actually mutual benefits. We're seeing a Chinese economy that's growing, that requires a lot of resources, and we're seeing that the next dispensation of growth is actually Africa. Actually it's been said that anyone who misses on Africa is actually going to miss the next dispensation of growth. So it is mutually beneficial. Somebody is even saying that for a long time we've worked with other partners and yet we've not seen results. We've seen roads in a country like Kenya, as we've seen even Uganda, we've seen evidence of Chinese impact on the ground. And when you talk to the common person, they will show you a road. They will show you this is what China has done for us. So it's a beneficial relationship. And I think one of the things that we see that the visit by the Chinese president to the Africa is actually a strong message that they're sending, that our interest, the future of Chinese growth, will actually be pegged on how they have strong relationship with Africa. And being the movers of the makers of BRICS, being the movers of growth globally, them coming together, they're also sending a strong message among themselves and within Africa. So I think it's a good relationship that we are seeing, and it's going to work for the benefits of both Africa and China.
Now, over the years, though, China's influence has been growing massively on the African continent. How do you rate that influence? And secondly, do you think, though, that Africa's economic future is now purely or completely now tied to China?
I think one is that it's pegged on the history that Africa has had with Western relationships, whereby it has been patronizing, whereby you give me support, but it is pegged on certain conditionalities. And here comes China, whereby they tell you, we will not interfere with what you are going to do with the kind of support that we are giving you, but all we want is to work with you. So I think on the economic front, it is good for Africa. On the political front, a lot of questions will be required to be asked, particularly with the African leaders, whereby we work towards improving the political conditions of Africa, so that in the long run, because the challenge is that not all African problems are economic. So we may solve African economic questions with the relationship with China, but there are other things that this relationship is not answering. And it's because of the way Africa and China relate.
Okay, there will be a new leadership, though, incoming in China. What are the expectations of African countries?
One is that continued partnership, as we have seen with the President who has actually demonstrated a very warm and close relationship with Africa. That is the first expectation. You'd also would expect a stronger African-China influence taking to the next level, from the economic and to some extent to the political, because of what we have seen happening within the African front and the concerns that other countries like the West is telling China, use not only your influence on economic front in Africa, but also extend to the social and to the political spheres. So you would want to see that, of course you would want to leave a legacy. His predecessor has left an strong economic relationship between China and Africa. He has to build and further that, and also build a legacy for himself, even as China and Africa relationships moves ahead.
All right, Vincent Kimosop, thank you very much for that. We'll leave it there for the moment. And those are the expectations of African countries to the new Chinese leadership. Back to you in Beijing.